Welcome to Salt Pig. We are two cookbook writers chatting about the ups and downs of actual home kitchen life. And what are we talking about today?
This week, we're talking about how much both Lucas and I hate food waste and how sometimes we come up with great solutions for it and sometimes we take it a little too far.
A bit too far. You can find new and old episodes wherever you listen to podcasts, and be sure to check us out on Substack too at saltpig.substack.com. All right, let's get started.
So, hi, Lucas. How's it going?
Hey, Ellie. I'm good. How are you?
What's new?
Well, I'm getting ready to leave town for a couple of weeks. We're going to Australia, where Vincent's family is, to spend the holidays with them. And I am at that stage of like looking at my fridge and trying to figure out how I can not waste anything, really like work through everything that's in there. And I'm kind of realizing that like I'm not going to get to zero. There's going to be a few casualties in this like fridge clean out. And it's a little bit frustrating.
Yeah. I want to hear about the casualties and I want to hear about the crazy. Like what are some of the crazy things that you're doing? Like what are some things that are in there that you're grappling with?
The one thing that I'm kind of alarmed by is like cranberry sauce left over from Thanksgiving.
Got cranberry sauce in my fridge too. And I keep like every time I open the fridge, I'm like, there it is.
I feel like, and I put it in the fridge knowing it's like, I'm never going to think of something to do with that cranberry sauce.
I know. I even transferred it from like its giant container into like a small container. And then I was like, see you tomorrow again.
Well, so we did a Friendsgiving and one of the guests brought this really delicious cranberry sauce. I have that. And then on Thanksgiving, we went to another friend's house and they took leftover cranberry sauce and put it inside a Ziploc bag. So I have two cranberry sauces in my fridge right now, and I probably should have just like thrown them in the freezer or something. And I just knew it was one of those things. I did that with half
of mine. Yeah.
Okay. I bet it freezes great.
Yeah, it probably does.
I could save it for next year.
Yeah, it's true.
But it's just one of those things I don't know. Do you have like certain foods that are just going to be a problem? Like you look at them every time you open the fridge, you're like, I need to think of something to do with that. And I kind of know that I'm not going to be successful.
Yes. It's funny because like I think ingredients I have a much easier time with than like prepared items. And cranberry sauce is one of those, it's just prepared enough that it feels like it doesn't sort of get my creative juices flowing quite as much.
Yes, too specific.
Yeah. Like I'm sure you could like put some in a smoothie or I don't know, like you made such an unenthusiastic face. Yeah.
I'm sorry, that sounded kind of gross to me.
I mean, I haven't done it. It does sound gross. Yeah, it's like a jam. I bet you could I think I've seen people make like cocktails out of it, but that uses like a half teaspoon. Like I have like
I know I have
a lot.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I feel like too. You look at these like low waste cookbooks, and so my mind went to like, oh, you could like take a wheel of brie and spread the cranberry sauce and wrap it in. And I'm like, okay, but that involves then going to buy a wheel of brie and then going to get the puff pastry. It's like,
and then eating a wheel of brie wrapped in puff pastry.
And I guess if I had a
like
dinner
in the next
party,
2 days.
Totally.
Yeah,
exactly. So it's just like not the things that are coming to mind feel as impractical sometimes as the ideas you see. It's like, oh, take the carrot tops and make pesto. Like, and I need 2 cups of olive oil to make that. And then anyway.
Totally.
But,
totally. Although I do love this. I mean, the satisfaction of finding a home for those things is the best for me. It satisfies this like deep part of me where I'm just like, I want to find a home for every little bit. I want to put all the little pieces together. It's like the same part of me that loves like a jigsaw puzzle. I'm like, if I can only figure out how these pieces can all come together into one dish that like satisfies it all, then I'm very happy.
It's a fun challenge.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why ingredients are very satisfying. Like core whole ingredients.
Yes.
I'm very good at that. I feel like that's a game that I can win.
That's a game that I can win too. I'm like, give me some random vegetables and some weird other bits and pieces, and I can like puzzle over it for a couple hours, and then I'm like, oh yeah, like now I've really done it without using like too much other stuff or making sort of a new situation for myself. But yeah, cranberry sauce is a tricky one.
I like condiments in general. I'm realizing too, I made this like chimichurri a while ago. I bet it's turned.
Well,
but
if it has a lot of olive oil, maybe
it might be okay. But
yeah.
Similar. I mean, that feels a little bit more versatile than cranberry sauce, but it's
Yeah.
also one of these things that
Yeah.
just isn't in my like. I have to sort of go outside the comfort zone of my everyday cooking in order to. I could just like put it over eggs, I'm sure, or like
Yeah.
there's a million things I could do with it if I stop and think about it. But the thing is like when there's a half a carrot or even a sliver of onion or the scallion greens that are going limp in the crisper, it's like I'm making a frittata, I'm making
Right.
fried rice, I'm
Yes.
doing one of these things that I just don't even have to think about it. But then for some reason I look at the chimichurri and I'm like, okay, that one I need to think about. So
Yes.
I'm going to save that for tomorrow.
And that was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was actually probably like 6 weeks ago, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe that has turned actually.
Yeah. Do you have stuff that that certain foods, like I know that you and I both are pretty committed to not wasting food. It bothers us a lot.
So committed.
But are there some that are more likely to go bad in your fridge than others?
I mean, lately I've been making, I make beans, like soak beans and cook them in the pressure cooker probably once a week because the kids like beans so much. And I'm always saving the bean broth, which
I love bean broth.
I love bean broth. It's such a great ingredient. So I'm always like, oh, I'll make like a soup or something. But if I don't happen to make a soup, then I really do just have like quarts of this broth kicking around. And it starts to make me feel sort of like a crazy person where I'm like, this is literally just this like byproduct. It feels like I'm keeping like whey around or something. I'm just like, I know there's something I can do with this. And I certainly can. And I certainly do. But sometimes I'm like, this quart of bean broth is just trash. I'm just throwing it away. I'm just moving on.
And
can't
it kind of
save it all.
looks like trash too.
That
separates a little bit.
Yes.
It's like a science experiment.
It's
gone
so
wrong,
true.
Or like mud water.
It is like mud water. The sort of silt sinks to the bottom, and it's like this. Yeah, this sort of murky. Yeah, it feels very, very sort of subterranean. Something about it. Yeah.
What have you done with bean broth that's not soup?
Gosh, I don't know if I've ever done anything with bean broth that's not soup. I guess I've put it in a pasta dish, like a pasta and beans dish, like to just sort of moisten stuff up. Have you done anything interesting with it?
That was the idea that was the thing that I was just going to mention, was using it when you make pasta
Yes.
fagioli. It works so well because it's starchy and it
So
makes a really
starchy.
glossy,
Yes.
like thickens the sauce really beautifully. It's
Yes.
so good.
Yes. And it has that delightful sort of velvety, that silt on the bottom really is like very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking too, I feel like this was a column in the New York Times years ago, or maybe it was a Rancho Gordo thing, but I think it might have been Rancho Gordo. And they talked about like at the beginning of a party, just passing out little shots of bean broth. Like
It had to be Rancho Gordo. They're like, we're going all in. We're just doing it.
which I know how delicious that is. Like I'll drink a
Totally.
mug of bean broth very happily.
Me too.
But
Tom would be
about-
like, this is a bridge too far.
Can you imagine though, on the tray, just in little teacups or little
Totally.
shot glasses with the condensation around the rim?
Totally.
and Here's your bean broth.
Totally. Be like, it's good for you and we're not wasting it. So
Yeah.
have a great party.
But it is tasty.
It is tasty. It is tasty. I mean, I'll freeze that too because I'm like, sometimes if I'm making some soup at a later date, then it's like, you could throw that. It freezes great. But I tend to, with a lot of that stuff, I tend to throw it in the freezer. And some of it's magical thinking that like I'm going to have a home for it in the future and I'll just keep it in the freezer in the meantime. But I do, sometimes I'll really go on a jag where I'm like, I'm cooking through all this, a handful of random stuff from the freezer because I sort of can't take it anymore. And the freezer, like, my freezer is at absolute maximum capacity at all times. So like sometimes I'm like, I bought a quart of ice cream and I can't fit it in. So I'm doing something with some bean broth. Yeah, totally. But yeah, I remember once when I was moving out of an apartment and, we like gave 60 days notice or something. And I was like, okay, 60 days starting from now, like everything in this kitchen's getting used up. Like every condiment, every egg yolk that I put into a Ziploc in the freezer, because I really save stuff to a ridiculous degree. And it was kind of an awesome challenge just because you do like, I mean, you eat a lot of like peanut noodles because you can like throw all your, sauces in there and use them up, or, there's all sorts of like those soups are great, or, meatloaf or meatballs where you're like mixing in all these different condiments and stuff. But that's the challenge that I crave. But yeah, the fridge stuff can be sort of harder somehow. Like what do you have in there that you're grappling with?
Well, the cranberry sauce and the chimichurri, which I think I'm just gonna. That's they're gone. I'm not as good at this as you are. I need to learn from you. I also I made, and I feel really bad about this, but one night I just made a pot of like sort of bean and vegetable scrap soup. Mm-hmm. And it just wasn't that good. Mm-hmm. I don't know why it wasn't that good, but I wasn't excited to eat it. And I was like, I'm just going to put the rest of this in the fridge. Yeah. Thinking that maybe I'd be more excited to eat it later. And I never got more excited. It's actually sitting there too. And I'm feeling kind of bad about that. So
gosh,
there's going to be a little bit of waste.
I mean, but that's what I make with those bean broths is I make a soup that like only I will eat, where I'm like, it's like, it's like totally nutritious. It's like, it's good, but it's not like going to win any like awards anywhere. It's like, I haven't like put a lot of thought into it. I'm just like, this is a receptacle for all of my bits and pieces. And and it's like, it has its good qualities, but sometimes they're the foods that like, my children are certainly not like, I want some random vegetable soup that has like too much kale in it because I just like refuse to not use the whole bunch, like that kind of thing.
This is a little bit of a tangent, but how are you with regard to expiration dates?
I'm pretty loose with an expiration date. I mean, I'm pretty loose with it. But I try to use some common sense rather than the expiration date in general. Like if stuff is, obviously like visibly gone bad, then I'm like, it's out of here. But I'm pretty loose with it. What about you?
I am also quite loose. I have a theory that the primary cook in the family is always going to be quite loose because they have a keener understanding of how much work went into the food and the shopping and the packing it all up and all that. And they're like, I'm not letting that go to waste. Yeah. And I notice it in starkest relief with Vincent, who is not the primary cook and is like, he has such a like, I would call it his sensitive senses, but he'll just like take a whiff of something and be like, I'm not touching that. But even if it has gone bad, he won't like get rid of it because he's afraid that I'll go crazy. Yeah. Because according to me, it wasn't bad, even though it's got like a flat layer of pink mold on top of it.
Right. Totally. He's just like, your domain, your decision, you're doing it. Yeah. Yeah. I could totally see that.
But I'm willing. When I worked, I had my veggie burger business. Yeah. And then I learned that like this whole thing about like marking expiration dates is just kind of like it's a shot in the dark. There is not any kind of like regulated science around how an expiration date is determined.
Of course. I mean,
it's crazy that like everything has to have something. You really just need to like learn to the smell test or
use
visual
your senses.
Markers and stuff.
Right. Yeah. No, for sure. Because also like I realized this yesterday. I went to the supermarket and I bought some yogurt and like put it next to the fridge and then like didn't put it in the fridge for like 2 hours for some reason. I came back down and I was like, oh shit. But I mean, it's yogurt, so I'm sure it's fine. Yeah. But
it's just getting a little tangier.
Yeah, exactly. It's just culturing itself a little bit more. But yeah, I was realizing, I mean, that's true with expiration dates too, because you're like, you don't know what's happened. This stuff has been like a blazing hot truck for weeks. Or,
or like, you see it all the time at the grocery store. They make a delivery, drop a pallet of frozen, refrigerated, whatever, super perishable foods like out on the sidewalk in the middle of the summer. And then 3 hours later, they get around to unpacking it and shelving it.
Totally. Yeah. No, I think it's kind of I actually think it's a great skill to sort of be grappling with. And also like, I think like as a society, we're also so, especially like Americans, we're so skittish with things that are like not perfect.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm here to fight the fight. To be like imperfect is kind of awesome. I don't know, and it presents a challenge. Like I don't know. Tom, I can't remember what he was doing, having a late night bowl of cereal or something, and he left the milk out recently, and it was one of these things. It was like a brand new half gallon of milk, and I don't know about milk in your neighborhood, but it's so wildly expensive in our neighborhood. So I was like, because I buy organic milk sort of against my own will for the kids and these growth hormones. I've sort of wigged myself out about it. So I'm like, I will buy organic milk, but it costs like $9 for a half gallon.
Wow.
So I was like, I just cannot throw this milk away, but it literally has let out for like 12 hours. So it's probably...
But it's like pasteurized, right?
But it's pasteurized. But I was like, yeah, I should do something with it. I should do something with it now. I shouldn't just give it to everyone for cereal. So, but it was the kind of challenge that I totally craved, where I was like, yeah, okay, so I'm going to make a huge amount of bechamel and like froze some and then use some in like a, I can't remember, what's it called with the lamb sauce and the eggplant.
So good.
Pasticcio? No, that's similar.
Pastisto or pastis? Yeah. Oh, God.
Anyway.
Or... it's the Greek thing.
It's the Greek thing.
Yeah. That's so good.
Yeah. It's delicious. And it was so satisfying because it uses just a ton of milk. And like I make homemade mac and cheese for the kids with bechamel. So I was just like, bechamel is the handiest thing to have around.
God, that's such a good idea.
It was so handy because at first I was like, oh, what a drag. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to make this pasticcio or whatever it was. And then I'm also going to make we have to figure out what it is. And then I'm going to make some mac and cheese for the kids. And I was like, and there goes my half gallon of milk. You can really crank through it.
Pastis. I'm sorry. I'm so bad at pronunciations.
I know pronunciations are so hard.
It's pastiscio.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, there's another word for it too.
I thought there was another
dish.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Frustrating. I think I had that one time at your house.
I think you did.
So
actually.
Delicious.
It's so comforting. And it's such a fun use of, because I mean, basically you're just making it's like a white sauce. I mean, that's what bechamel is, but it was so fun, add nutmeg and, a hard cheese if you want to sort of flavor it a little bit. And that can be great to use on top of like pasticcio. And then you can add tons of cheese to it and make a delicious cheese sauce and add it to pasta or, broccoli or I don't know, all sorts of things. But yeah, having white sauce, and it freezes fine, which I had no idea.
Well, yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
It makes sense. The only thing is I'm getting better at labeling things in my freezer. I think if I use my freezer as much as I do with like random little drips and drabs that I'd label it, I don't. But I think I took some out of the freezer once and I was like, sure, it was mashed potatoes. And I was like, I had this whole concept of what I was going to be making with these mashed potatoes that night. And then when I took it out of the fridge after it had been defrosted, I was like, these are not mashed potatoes. And it took me so long to figure out what it was.
And it was bechamel.
And it was bechamel, yeah.
That's a great idea. I feel like the first thing I thought of was making ricotta. But then you're faced with the same problem of like all this, then you have all this fresh, very perishable cheese that you've got to use up as soon as possible.
But that's a great idea. And then of course you have the whey, which...
Yeah. There we go.
You've got to... I've heard you can like marinate like meats in it and stuff. It's sort of tenderizing.
I think so, but there is a difference between like yogurt whey and ricotta whey. And I don't know if you can do the same thing with ricotta whey.
Yeah, I don't know if you can either. In fact, I think there's even a difference between... Yeah, I think there's a whole variety of different ways that...
Ways with whey.
Yeah, ways with whey. But that would be a great idea too, though, because every time I've made homemade ricotta, it's amazing.
So delicious.
Yeah. Like a whole other treat.
Yeah. I just learned recently that households are the top contributor to food waste of all sources of food waste, like beyond food service, restaurants,
Really?
food businesses, farms, everything. Households are.
Gosh.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. It makes me, that's terrible. Well, what's so sad about it is like, I think it is a skill that I don't think anyone really talks about. Like it's.
Yeah, no, they don't. Instead,
Yeah.
they're encouraged to shop at Costco where you can buy like 10 times more milk than you actually need, and it's cheaper than just buying a quart of it.
Yes. Or similarly, like people are encouraged to like follow these recipes that use, quarter cup of something out of a container of 4 cups, and then they have no idea what to do with the rest of it. So then you have,
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's true with condiments, certainly, because that's sort of the nature of condiments. But I mean, there's nothing I hate more. And I fight this fight with my authors all the time where I'm like, if you're going to like, if you call in a recipe for using like half an onion or half a tomato or half a pepper, it just makes me crazy. I'm just like,
yeah,
I
because
know
you're gonna go ahead and just use the whole thing when you make that type of recipe.
I am. And sometimes to the detriment of the recipe, but I actually feel like it's sort of more responsible. I'm like, I'd rather have the recipe be a little bit different maybe than the author intended, but just not to have the waste of this little piece. Cause I'm just like, I think for a lot of you and I might use those little scraps here and there, but I'm also like, there's nothing easier than just cutting up one onion and just using the whole onion. Like it's not going to make that much of a difference. Rather than having the pieces. But I mean, the authors that I've worked with have been, I think people are a lot more exacting in those ways. I think, again, it goes back to that perfection idea, like the idea that people want it to be this very particular way, which I can see, I can see, but it feels like a choice that people can make, and I don't think people have to choose to be that way. Like I don't think
when they're writing their recipes.
Yeah, and also even when they're thinking about the food that they're making, like, and this is sort of a strange thing to say, but like I don't think food, especially in a home environment, I don't think food has to be perfect. Like that's not the goal that I'm going for. I don't.
Yeah, totally.
It doesn't need to be, the best bean soup that I've ever made in my entire life in order for me to eat it and be like, that was nutritious and filled the bill and warmed me up. And now I'm ready to move on to the next meal. And I think there's something about like, it's not even lowering those standards. It's just sort of considering cooking from a different perspective, thinking about it from, a low food waste perspective rather than a perfect perspective. Cause it just doesn't, I'm not that interested in things being perfect, I guess.
Do you find though, I feel like if you're following a recipe, you kind of want it to be perfect. Like, yes. I mean, I feel like even people who aren't great cooks, if they're just cooking dinner and not following a recipe and just kind of feeding themselves from a place of just needing sustenance, I feel like they're pretty fine with outcomes being mediocre. But then if they like find a recipe and then they do the shopping and they, make all those investments, they do want it to be perfect.
Yes.
In which sense it seems like it's on the recipe writer to create. I mean, there's two things happen. There's one, which is teaching people how to see the potential in all the ingredients and like their leftovers and things. And then making recipes that are like inherently low waste. But that's really hard to do. I was thinking, we talked about this one time, like 12 ounces of pasta that drives people crazy when it's like, just, I'm going to use the whole box of pasta. I'm not going to measure out 4 ounces and set them aside for something else. But the reason so it's like the pasta, and this is the challenge of the recipe developer. This is not on anybody else, but like you create a pasta recipe and you have one whole onion, 28-ounce can of tomatoes, one thing of cheese, one ball of mozzarella, and then 16 ounces of pasta for that is too much pasta.
Yep.
but 12 ounces is perfect. So you're left with the 4 ounces of pasta. Or you do 16 ounces of pasta, and then it's like 1 28-ounce can of tomatoes plus 1 15-ounce can of tomatoes plus like one of the, like it's a weird sort of formula that you're trying to grapple with. And then like, what's the less bad of these two options?
That's exactly right. And I think that's one thing that's so tricky in cookbook writing and recipe development specifically, where it's like, what angle are you coming at it from? And what are your goals? Are you trying to make it easy for the listener? Are you trying to make it, good for the environment? Are you trying to impress people with the absolute best version, fine-tuned to the nth degree? Mm-hmm. Are you cooking sort of with economy in mind? Are you, there are all these different places you can be coming from when you're developing something. And I think it is tricky because I do think with cookbooks specifically, the expectation is that the food is going to be perfect. That's sort of why you're using the cookbook in some ways. Though I do wonder if there's an appetite, no pun intended, an appetite for cookbooks that show another perspective. Because I do think there is. I don't think cooking has to be about perfection, but I do think the idea that like it's like when you use help in any situation, then your expectations sort of get higher, whereas you're just, but a lot of people don't know how to cook, so they need help no matter what they're doing. And part of me wonders if there's a way that they could learn some of those skills about cooking that wouldn't waste food. Because I do think those situations do waste food. Some of those recipes do waste food.
Well, and that's what, when I learned this stat about households, one of the drivers is that people don't know, they don't have high kitchen intelligence.
Right.
And so like they're not sure what to do with the leftover 4 ounces of pasta or half an onion or whatever it is.
Right.
And it's kind of easy just to throw stuff away and then it's out of sight, out of mind.
Gosh, right. Totally. And I think it's funny. And I know you feel this too. Like as someone who does know my way around the kitchen and who hates food waste, but there also are these little tricks that you can do. It's not necessarily like you have to be like, well, there's just not going to be enough sauce for the pasta, so too bad. There's also other ways you can sort of address it. You can stretch your sauce with something else, with some bean broth, actually.
Or water.
Yeah, or water or whatever. Like there's all sorts of ways to troubleshoot that maybe don't result in opening another can of tomato paste and using a tablespoon of it and then having the rest like sit around or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's hard to teach that to people, or it's hard to learn that because I don't think there's not really a place it's being taught.
Yeah, exactly. There's this whole, it's like specific use cases too, that, you know, it's not just like making a recipe or mastering a technique. It's like, okay, it's when there's not enough pasta sauce for the pasta that you've got, like this is what you do, or when you're 2 eggs short or what, like.
Right. That's right. And it's hard.
That really is like the muscle of cooking too. Oh
my gosh, totally. For me, that's also like the satisfaction of it, where I'm like, give me a kitchen problem, because I find it deeply satisfying to solve it. So the idea of like, you add some broth, or even if it was just like more vegetables that you saute, throw in some
can of beans with the liquid.
Totally. Or like some raw tomatoes and then they'll cook down, or, there's all sorts of
do you cook with the bouillon paste, like better than bouillon?
Love it. Yes.
I love that stuff. I use that all the time. It's like water, and I know, do you like dilute it first, or do you just do like a spoonful straight into the pan?
I just do a spoonful straight in and just sort of hope that I'm going to stir it enough that it dissolves.
Yeah.
I'm like, someone might get a mouthful of bouillon, but
and they'll like it. It's good.
Yeah, they will. They'll really like it. They'll have to drink like 8 cups of water afterwards, but they'll really like it. Well,
that's one of those ingredients too. I feel like, speaking of trying to, maybe it's like a stretch ingredient or just to like fill that little gap. It's bouillon paste or miso paste, or the way people use like Worcestershire sauce or like coconut aminos or like those types of just a little bit spreads, a long ways in a dish and can help fill the gaps.
For sure. I mean, talk about like our bean and vegetable soup conundrums. I mean, that kind of stuff, if you stir in a little bit of some miso paste or something like that, that can really kind of bring it to a new level.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I love that problem. And I think I'm always interested in people who are grappling with those problems because I feel like it's not that talked about. And yet, really like, I feel like people are concerned about food waste, but they're seeing it, I guess, more like they should buy less, or I don't know how most people are grappling with that in their kitchens.
I feel like one of the best things that you can do if you are if this is like a challenge you want to face and overcome is, because I've done these exercises before. It's like when you had the 6 or the 2 months before you were moving or like working through the freezer. I've done the same thing with my pantry where like over time I have the little wadded up bag of a quarter cup of orzo or like red lentils or whatever. And I'm like, okay, we're using all this stuff in the next 30 days or before the end of the year or whatever the deadline is. Yes. And you really do like learn so much when you impose that type of a constraint.
Oh, I mean, those constraints, I feel like, that's like the root of creativity for me, where it's like thinking about how to put those things together and thinking about what you can add to it that will sort of elevate it or pull it together or
the way that's kind of how I learned firsthand. You're like, oh, I don't have any more orzo or I don't have any more white rice. I need like a cup of white rice, but I only have 3/4 cup. Oh, I've got this quarter cup of orzo. I'll just mix that in. It's got kind of the same cooking time. Or quinoa or whatever, those sort of quick cooking grains. You can just kind of use them interchangeably.
Yes.
Especially if you're in this sort of like good enough mindset of the outcome.
Totally. And I think that's like, and it is learning about the sort of the abilities of these ingredients too in these different circumstances where you're like, oh, actually, this works really great sort of risotto style because it actually is starchier than I realized. Or, like it's fun to have those insights into your ingredients and see sort of how far you can push them. Yeah.
One of my pet peeves, I'm not going to name names, but not in my household, but in my immediate orbit, is like when you go out to eat and you don't finish your food and you get the food packed up and then you go home and you've got this like takeout container with leftovers in it and then it goes into the fridge and then it ends up being wasted. That drives me nuts. I hate the waste of like the restaurant food. Oh. Especially because it's like, it would probably be better just to like leave it at the restaurant than go through all the trouble of like putting it in one of these styrofoam containers. But on that note, one time we went to, when my brother was visiting, we went to an Indian restaurant and got this really good like biryani. And there was only like a couple spoonfuls left, but it was so good that we were definitely not going to waste it. Yeah. And the next day I just stirred it into a frittata and it was so good. It was just one of the best things. We all talk about that.
Oh man.
Constantly. Yeah. That any of those like super saucy, savory, rich, stewy type things, just like mix them into your eggs the next day and bake it and it'll be great.
That's a great idea. What a treat. That sounds amazing. I know. I mean, I'm definitely the person where like everyone's like, well, obviously we're not taking these leftovers home because it's like a spoon of this and a spoon of that. And I'm like, oh no, I'm taking those leftovers home. It's like your cranberry sauce in the bag. I totally identify that. People are like, Ellie will take it.
That's great though.
Yeah, no, it's good. And it's, sometimes you can just eat that stuff for like, lunch the next day and it will be like a little random, but totally fine. But
such a nice snack.
Yeah, but so fun to actually like take it somewhere kind of new and like the biryani. More pronunciation.
This is
like the
going to be a problem.
Yeah.
This is why I like working in a word processing software.
Totally. I'm like, I know how to spell all these. Well, actually, probably not, but I know better how to spell them, how to use them in a sentence than I do how to say them out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, I bet you'll get through some of that stuff. What are you planning for dinner tonight?
Tonight, let's see, what are we doing? I have like a little bit of broth left, some vegetable broth in there. I have a weird assortment of vegetables. There's some carrots. I think it's probably going to be some kind of soup situation, or I love to make what could be a soup, but when there's not enough broth, like an orzo risotto sort of thing, where it's like some kind of short grain or short pasta, and you just kind of stir it on the pan, and it's always really comforting and good. So it might be something like that.
Oh, that sounds great. And it's the best vehicle for using up little bits. I mean, and in that way, it's like, cheese is another one of those ingredients where you're like, if you add cheese to it, it will all sort of bulk up and come together.
Oh, totally. 100%.
Yeah. Oh,
what are you fixing for dinner?
We're actually going to a holiday party tonight. And I think they're having food, though it starts a little late, but I think we'll probably just hold out for the party food. I think there's supposed to be a ham at the party.
Oh, fun.
So that'll be fun. But yeah, I don't know. We're starting to think about I'm like, it would be fun to make some. I'm in that mode. I'm not in your mode where I'm cleaning out the fridge. I'm like in the cycle where I'm like, oh, I should, defrost some things. And what do I want to make in the next few days? So I'll have to figure out holidays are coming up, so we'll have to figure out some more special meals.
Mm-hmm.
But
I know, it's so crazy. It's a lot to think about right now. I feel like we're barreling towards the end of the year.
I know. But it's going to be good, I
think. Yeah. Yes, it will.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, cool. Well, I guess we'll just talk soon.
Chat next time.
Yeah, sounds great. Well, enjoy your fridge clean out. Make a cranberry cocktail for me.
Okay, thank you. I will. I'll probably throw some in the freezer and save it for the next time you come over.
Yeah, totally. I'll eat it then. Or I could bring my own. Okay, I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye, Ellie.
Bye.